Okay, imagine this. You step into a conference room, the air conditioning is humming just a little too loudly, the coffee is definitely lukewarm, and someone stands up, they look you right in the eye and say, all right, team, let's get down to brass tacks. We need to hit the ground running, touch base on the key 3 metrics, and make sure we're not just putting all our eggs in one basket. The ball is in your court.
And you just hear that and think, what? It sounds like English. I mean, grammatically, it is English, but for a huge percentage of the global workforce, that sentence doesn't feel like a strategy update.
No,
It feels like a secret code.
it really does. It's like, are we farming eggs? Are we playing tennis now? A marathon? What is actually happening? Welcome to another deep dive. Today we are tackling the, well, sometimes baffling, often hilarious, and surprisingly complex world of global business communication.
It is a massive topic, and we're going to be unpacking what some people call corpo speak.
Corpo speak. I love that term. And for anyone listening today, whether you're a native English speaker prepping for a big international meeting or, someone just trying to survive in a multinational company without losing your mind, this one is definitely for you.
We've got a really interesting stack of sources today. We're looking at some practical guides on American business idioms from places like Bold Voice and Foothold America.
Okay.
Then there's some fascinating academic research on the psychology of non-native speakers from International Business Research, and some expert advice on conflict and authority from INSEAD and Corporate Speech Solutions.
And just to keep us honest and maybe a little humble, we've also got a very candid, totally unfiltered discussion from a Reddit thread on Rose Corp. They are debating whether this jargon is actually useful or just, as one user so beautifully put it, verbal diarrhea.
A colorful description, for sure, but it gets to the heart of our mission for this deep dive. We want to decode this secret language. We need to figure out, is this stuff unnecessary evil to get work done efficiently? Or is it just a way for people to sound smart while saying, absolutely nothing?
Let's start with the vocabulary itself.
Mm.
If you look at the source material from Bold Voice, what jumps out immediately is the very specific flavor of American business English. It's not just random idioms.
No, it is not random at all. It is overwhelmingly, and I mean overwhelmingly, dominated by sports metaphors.
Which is so funny because most of us are just sitting in ergonomic chairs not running laps, but it is everywhere. Ballpark figure, I use that all the time.
Right. And it comes from baseball. The stadium is an enclosed space, so if the ball is in the ballpark, it's playable. It means an inexact estimate, but one that's, within the realm of possibility.
Hit a home run.
Also baseball, a great success.
And the ball is in your court.
Tennis. It just means the responsibility has shifted to you. It's your turn to act. But what's really fascinating here isn't just the sports origins. It's the underlying cultural values that these idioms reveal. They aren't just colorful phrases. They tell you what American business prioritizes.
And what's that? Winning.
Winning, yes, but specifically speed and action. Look at the other idioms Bold Voice highlights. Cut to the chase, hit the ground running, grab the bull by the horns. These are all aggressive, kinetic phrases.
Cut to the chase comes from old silent movies, right? Like,
Yeah.
skip the boring stuff and get to the car chase.
Exactly. And think about what that signals to someone. It signals that time is money, and any kind of hesitation is weakness. So if you're a non-native speaker, or even just someone from a culture that values relationship building over speed, say, parts of Latin America or Asia, this can feel incredibly abrasive.
Oh, I can see that. You walk in wanting to say hello, ask about the family, build some rapport.
Yeah.
And your American counterpart is just like, let's cut to the chase.
It can feel so rude. Like they don't care about you as a person. But the American isn't trying to be rude. They are trying to be efficient. That's the functional argument for these idioms. They're supposed to be shorthand.
Right. It's faster to say, give me a ballpark figure than please provide an estimate that is generally accurate but not necessarily precise.
That is the argument, yes. It acts as a lubricant for people who know the code. But, and this is where we pivot to that Reddit thread you mentioned, there is a dark side to this jargon.
Oh, I loved this thread. It was basically a bunch of corporate employees just venting about what these phrases actually mean. The cynicism was, it was off the charts, but the insights were so sharp.
It really highlights that corpo speak isn't always about efficiency. Sometimes it's about protection.
So let's play the translation game.
Yeah.
According to the folks on Reddit, what does "let's take this offline" actually mean?
It usually translates to, you are wasting everyone's time. Or maybe, I really don't want to discuss this in front of witnesses because it is going to get ugly.
Ouch. Okay, what about "let's circle back"?
That one is classic avoidance. It means, I really hope you forget about this so I never have to do it.
And my favorite, moving forward.
Ah, yes. Let's pretend the massive mistake we just made never happened and never ever speak of it again.
It's funny, but there's a deeper point here, isn't there? One of the users mentioned something they called the shield theory.
Yes. And this is a critical insight for anyone trying to navigate a corporate environment. Often, jargon is used by leadership not to clarify, but to obscure. It depersonalizes the blame.
Can you give an example of that?
Sure. Let's say a project fails because the team just didn't care enough to do the work. A manager is not going to stand up and say, the project failed because we were lazy.
Right, that would get you fired instantly.
Instead, they say something like, the project was challenged by change management issues due to a lack of workflow alignment.
Workflow alignment. It sounds so professional, so legitimate.
But it just means we were a mess. It removes the human element of failure. It turns a human error into a systemic issue. The system failed, not the people. So when you hear that really dense corpo speak, you have to ask yourself, is this person trying to be efficient? Or are they hiding behind the shield?
That is such a great filter to have. But it's not just the words, right? It's the behavior.
Yeah.
We have some sources here from Foothold America that talk about the silent rules of the workplace, the stuff that's not in the employee handbook.
And this is where deals often die. You can have perfect grammar, you can memorize all the baseball idioms, but if you violate the etiquette, you're in trouble. And the biggest one, time.
Time is money.
It's a cliche because it's absolutely true. In American business culture, punctuality is aggressive. Arriving even 2 minutes late can signal disrespect.
2 minutes. I feel like in some cultures, 2 minutes is basically arriving early.
Absolutely. In many places, time is more fluid, it's relational. You start when everyone is there and the vibe is right. But the source compares the opening of meetings across cultures. In the US, it's just, let's get started right on time.
Versus the UK.
In the UK, it might be something like, shall we begin when everyone's ready? It's softer. And in Japan, it's often, please allow me to express gratitude for your time.
And the American version is just, boom, go. We have things to do.
And once that meeting starts, you hit what Foothold America calls the participation paradox.
Ooh, I like the sound of that. What is the paradox?
It's this really confusing expectation that everyone in the room has to contribute to show they're engaged. If you sit silently in an American meeting, you're seen as disengaged, maybe uninterested, or even incompetent.
So you have to talk.
You have to talk. But UT, and this is the paradox, your contribution has to be short, it has to be additive, and to the point. You can't just talk for the sake of talking.
So you can't sit there silently, but you also can't ramble. You have to thread this impossible needle.
Exactly. Now imagine you're from a culture where you only speak if you are the most senior person in the room. Or a culture where you need a long pause to really think before you speak because you want to be precise.
That sounds like a nightmare. They might have a brilliant idea, but they're just waiting for the right moment.
And in an American meeting, there is no right moment that's planned to you. You have to take it. By the time they're ready to share their idea, the conversation has already moved on.
It really feels like a high-speed merging lane on a highway. You just got to jump in or you get left behind.
That's a great way to put it. And then there's the written communication, the email etiquette, specifically what's called the sandwich method.
I think I do this without even realizing it.
Most Americans do. We value directness, but we don't want to seem mean. So we wrap the directness in friendliness. The email starts with, thanks for reaching out, or hope you're having a great week. That's the top bun.
Then comes the meat. You missed the deadline.
Exactly. Then the bottom bun. Best regards, or thanks again.
It's a politeness sandwich with a core of pure business. And for some cultures, this must be just confusing. Like, why are you being so nice if you're angry about the deadline?
Or you compare it to the formal French style mentioned in the source. I have the honor to acknowledge receipt.
I have the honor. I'm just trying to confirm a meeting time. I don't need a knighthood for it.
It just shows how much context matters. In the U.S., the relationship is often transactional, even networking. The source describes networking as strategic relationship development.
Ugh, that sounds so cold.
It is cool, in a way. You aren't just making friends, you are hunting for mutual value. What can you do for me and what can I do for you?
And speaking of hunting, let's talk about dining, because apparently even eating is a test.
The tipping rule is the big one for visitors, 18-22%. If you're an international executive and you leave 10% because that's generous back home, you have just embarrassed your American host.
And potentially ruined that strategic relationship.
Exactly. You've signaled that you don't know the local rules. And if you don't know the rules for lunch, well, maybe you don't know the rules for the contract negotiations either.
That's a really good point. It's all a signal. I want to shift gears a bit here. We've talked a lot about the native English speakers' playground, their idioms, their rules. But what about the people trying to navigate this who aren't native speakers? We have a source here from International Business Research that talks about the Englishization of global business.
This is a huge trend. Companies like Rakuten in Japan or Aventus in Europe are mandating English as the corporate standard. Even if everyone in the room is Japanese or French, the meeting has to be in English.
Why? Just to be difficult.
To stay competitive globally, they need a workforce that can operate across borders. But the research shows there's this hidden psychological cost to this that often gets ignored.
The source mentions cognitive load theory. Can you unpack that for us?
Think of your brain like a computer with a limited amount of RAM. Everything you do takes up some of that processing power. Now, if you are a native speaker, speaking English takes almost zero RAM. It's automatic. You can use 100% of your brain to solve the complex business problem.
But if you're a non-native speaker,
A huge chunk of your processing power, maybe 30–40%, is being used just to decode the language. You're translating idioms, checking your grammar, worrying about pronunciation.
so you have less RAM left over to actually do the work.
Exactly. You might be the smartest engineer in the room, you might know the solution, but because your brain is busy translating ballpark figure, you just appear slower than you really are.
And that leads to what the source calls the stupidity trap.
It's heartbreaking, really. It's that internal feeling that a lack of fluency makes you appear less competent or less intelligent. You have the expertise, but you just can't access the words to show it fast enough.
And the research distinguishes between buy-in and believe-in regarding these English mandates. What's the difference there?
So employees might buy in to the idea. They agree, logically, that English is good for the company's strategy. Yes, we need this to grow. But they lack believe in.
Meaning they don't believe in themselves?
They lack the confidence that they personally can survive that transition. They're afraid they'll become obsolete.
That is such a crucial distinction. It's not rebellion, it's fear.
Yeah.
So what's the fix? Is it just learn better English?
No, and that's the key takeaway here. The source talks about communication accommodation theory. The burden shouldn't just be on the learner. Native speakers have a responsibility to adapt.
So we need to change how we talk.
Yes. Slow down, avoid the baseball metaphors, check for understanding. If you are leading a global team, you have to realize that by using all that corpo speak, you are actively increasing the cognitive load on your team. You are making them less effective.
So maybe don't say, hit it out of the park, to a room full of people who have never even seen a baseball game.
Precisely. Clarity is inclusive. Idioms are exclusive.
This brings us to the trickiest part of business, and maybe the most dangerous part for a non-native speaker: conflict. Disagreeing is hard enough, but disagreeing across cultures seems like a minefield. We have a great story from InSeed about a woman named Li Shen.
This is such a classic example of cultural misinterpretation. So Li Shen is a Chinese manager working for L'Oreal. She goes to Paris to present her ideas. She's prepped, she's ready, she gives her big presentation. Then the French colleagues just start hammering her with questions. Why did you choose this color? I don't think that will work. Have you considered this instead?
Wow. To her, that must have felt like a direct attack.
She felt humiliated. In Chinese business culture, maintaining mianzi, or face, is paramount. Especially in a group setting, you just do not openly criticize or challenge a colleague in front of others. It causes them to lose face.
So she's standing there thinking she's being completely torn apart.
She thought she was being fired, she just shut down. But here's the twist. The French team thought it was a great meeting.
They loved it.
They loved it. In French culture, and even more so in German culture, open debate is a sign of interest. If they didn't care about your idea, they wouldn't even bother arguing with it.
There's a German word for this concept, isn't there?